And Jai Gurudev. So welcome everybody. Today is let me see if I can have it. Today is Gita Jayanti. Is the day that the Gita is being spoken from Lord Krishna to Arjuna, the word. So it's December 11th that we celebrate that day. It's a very auspicious day. We who have a spiritual master or guru, he says for us to dive ourselves into the Gita, to read it 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 100 times, and become a living and walking Bhagavad Gita. In today's Twitter, he again reiterates this word, saying that we are not doing enough. We really have to incorporate its teachings to our lives. It's time to reflect upon the words and integrate it in our life and transform ourselves. That's actually the role of the guru, to tell us, remind us that that is a very special scripture, I say. So let's go through the Gita a little bit more. Sorry. The Bhagavad Gita is part of the great epic, the Mahabharata. And so the Mahabharata is a sacred scripture, is written more than 5,000 years ago. And it contains all the essence of all Vedas. So the Vedas are known the most powerful scriptures, most that contains all the wisdom of the yoga and the Sanatana Dharma. So the Mahabharata is composed in 100,000 slokas. Is known as the biggest epic written in the world. It's 7 times bigger than the Iliad written by Homer. So it's a very giant book. It's made by 18 books. And the Bhagavad Gita occupies the chapter 23 to 40 of Bhishma Parva, the 6th book of the Mahabharata. So it's just a fragment of the Mahabharata. So the Mahabharata is a huge epic. And the Bhagavad Gita is a dialogue between Krishna and Arjuna, which we're gonna talk a little bit about then a little bit further. And it took place, this dialogue takes place at the very beginning of the Mahabharata greatest war. So inside this epic, it passed a very big war, the biggest war that ever happened in the world. And the Gita is spoken at that time. Actually, we believe that it's not just a story, but it is a fact. It really happened, and many historian people, they have traces of that civilization and so on. Who is Veda Vyasa, the one who dictated the Gita? He received the verses from a vision. The sage Vyasa is known as an avatar of the Lord. So he's a divine avatar, is a divine manifestation. So he's one of the divine manifestations in the world. And Vyasa had a very big role into the scriptures. He structured the 4 Vedas, the Vedas in 4 groups, the Rigi, Yavur, and Atharva, and Samaveda. And for that, he became known as Veda Vyasa. So he's a sage, or Vyasa Muni. Muni is a sage. So he became known as Veda Vyasa because he restructured the 4 Vedas. He's also the author of the 18 main Puranas, including Brahma Purana, and the Mahabharata, and the Srimad Bhagavatam. That's another important scripture. And from his visions, he dictated the verses of Mahabharata, but he was having the visions, so he prayed for Lord Ganesh to come and support him to scribe the Mahabharata. So he had seen the vision and he dictated the verses, and Lord Ganesh scribed the Gita. So the Gita has very divine words. And so Guruji says that when Vedavyasa he wrote, he didn't say Krishna Uvacha, means the Krishna said. He says Bhagavan Uvacha, that's the Lord, the divine, the everything, the supreme reality. He is speaking. So he's saying he's a person, he's an avatar himself, and he knows who is speaking. That's another avatar of the Lord. That we're going to speak about this later on. So it's a fully divine book. And from the divine scriptures is very interesting, is the only one that God himself speaks. So it's the words of the divine himself. So Vedavyasa, he wrote this, and there is a cave where he wrote. It's in Himalayas. We have been there in 2016, and we came again this year. There is the Vyasa cave, Vyasa cave, and the Ganesh in the right side. There is the Ganesh cave that's nearby it. So they are the two caves that people goes and visit, and this place, they said it has more than 5,500 years, so it's a very old ancestral place. And Vedavyasa is worshipped there. We cannot take pictures, but I got a little. So the Bhagavad Gita means the song of God. So it's spoken by Lord Krishna, that is an avatar of God. And this avatar is a concept in the Sanatana Dharma, in the traditional Indian philosophy, that the divine descends in a body, in the world from time to time. And they consider many incarnations as an avatar, but the most complete incarnation of the Lord is Krishna. So he can come in any form, he can manifest in any form, but he can also manifest in flesh, in a body. So that's Krishna. And that he spoke to his friend, best friend, Arjuna, in the midst of two armies. So we're going to talk about this war soon. But the Gita means song, and Bhagava means God. So Bhagavad Gita is called the song of God. And it's a rhyming meter, beautiful, harmonic, and melodious when it's spoken perfectly. Nowadays, now Guruji is speaking this online, and you can see there is a very beautiful melodic way of pronouncing the Gita. So that's called the Song of God. And this rhyming meter is called Anustup, for who doesn't know or is curious about. It contains 32 syllables in each verse. So it's very precisely made. So imagine a book with 100,000, the Mahabharata, 100,000 verses. They all contain 32 syllables in each verse. So it's an amazing divine scripture, really. So the Bhagavad Gita, as a part of Mahabharata, is composed only by 701 verses. So these 701 verses is just one book within 18 chapters. You can read in one and a half day easily. It's a very easy book to read, this dialogue between Krishna and Arjuna. And according to my guru, he says it took like approximately 1.5 hours, this dialogue, before the war being started. So It is a principal scripture in Hinduism. So many schools of yoga, many masters, many disciplines in Hindu tradition, they use this scripture to comment over, to reflect over, or to base the philosophy on it. So many of the masters, they draw philosophical conclusions over that. And also in the school I'm from, it's also um, uh, the main scripture for us, let's say. So it's very rich. So it's known as a manual for life. So it contains everything one need to guide yourself into this spiritual journey. The book structure holds 18 chapters, and each of the 6 chapters can be grouped in this way, just for you to visualize in a simple way when you approach the book. The first 6 chapters is related to karma yoga, jnana yoga, which is a complement of karma yoga. It's how to act in life and how to transform your karma into actions that you don't collect reactions, any karma anymore. And so this leads to a path of self-realization. The first 6 chapters is talking in that matter. But the next 6 chapters, he talks about he himself, Krishna talks about the divine reality that is himself, that is he. So it's leading one to Bhakti Yoga, that is God realization. So it's known as the highest path of yoga, the Bhakti Yoga, the path of loving the divine, a loving relationship with the divine. So it's a further step than Karma Yoga. Yoga means union with the divine. So karma yoga would be the union with the divine within you, with the divinity soul that you are, that self-realization. And bhakti yoga, that union with the divine in a relationship with the divine. And the last 6 chapters is going to talk about moksha, which is the final liberation into yoga. Sankhya philosophy that includes the gunas and prakriti, how matter is made, so what we have to watch, the traps of life. So it's more detailed, explained back there. And the bhakti conclusions about how to unite with the divine. So that's basically the structure of the Gita, if you enter into it. I want to bring you a little bit in the journey, a little bit before it comes to that dialogue. So before the war of the Mahabharata, we have the Pandavas that are 5 Pandavas that are the good guys, let's say. In the story, they represent the 5 elements in our body. They represent our pure qualities when it is purified, let's say. And the 101 Kauravas is 100 Kauravas and 1 girl. So Dushala is 1 daughter, and hundreds brothers that they are representing all our negativity qualities. So they really they grow up in this epic together. At a point they have the same education, the same master, for example, of they're all warriors, so they've been educated into the war affairs and the archery and everything related to strategies and ruling. But obviously, even the teacher could see that the Pandavas have always good qualities. So they were cousins. The Pandavas and the Kauravas were cousins, but the Kauravas really are holding to negative qualities, and at a point, they it culminates into this war. What leads to the war that comes to the Mahabharata is quite, I'm trying to make a very short resume. The Pandavas and the Kauravas, they were always, especially the Kauravas, was trapping the Pandavas all the time. And the biggest trap that they made for the Pandavas, because there were 100 guys, and they were always creating traps to defeat the Kauravas, the Pandavas, and the biggest one was this the game of the dice. They build a very big palace. They invite them from another kingdom because their kingdom was very prosperous going, although they gave a very bad piece of land for them to live. They became very rich and very wealthy. So they invited them for this game of dice, and they invite the most clear mind ruler of them, which has no ability into gambling. And the guys, they knew everything about gambling, especially the head of this decision of the game of dice. And so the moment culminates when they started losing everything, all his kingdoms, his armies, he lost absolutely everything. He started losing the horse, he started losing everything, and keep gambling. And there is a point he says, okay, now you lost everything. Now let's bet your wife. So in that point, the negative qualities were really going bad. So they are really breaking all rules of that time. So the Draupadi is the wife of the Pandavas, is being invited for the gambling, and of course Yudhishthir lose her as well. So she's being brought to the palace, and she's being humiliated. And that moment they try to disrobe her, to take out her clothes. And in India they wear these long saris of 5 meters. As they pull the sari, she's holding tight and praying for Lord Krishna, was always her friend, Krishna. And by the time that she can't hold anymore, she give up everything, she lift up her hands. Krishna makes this miracle that the sari never stops pulling out, so the never starts finishing. So she cannot be disrobed, and they get tired, and they come into an agreement, let's say. But that humiliation was really what culminated the war that happened 13 years later, because they wanted to kill them right there as they lost everything. But they came to an agreement, and they came to this idea that they would give them 12 years exile living in the forest and 1 year in one city. If he's being found, they can kill them. If they've been found, they can kill them. But they managed to run away from them for 13 years. And in the last year, he comes back and asks a piece of land. So now it's finished our exile. We want to have a piece of land where we can live. But the king says, no, you have no rights. And as they don't give them any rights, so they can only call for a war. There is no other solution. So another important thing before the war starts is how they approach Krishna, because Krishna is a divine figure, and he was living in a kingdom nearby. And so Duryodhana, which is the head of the Kauravas, the 100 brothers, guys, bad guys, he approached Krishna from his head, standing in arrogance in front of Krishna. And Arjuna, as his friend, he approached humbly at his feet. And so Krishna says in many scriptures, but also in the Bhagavad Gita, it says, in whatever way one surrenders to me, in the same way I approach to them. Everybody follows my path in all respects. So Duryodhana, Krishna gave them two choices. He gives, like, I give my full army for one of you, with all the weapons I have, and he had a huge army. And I give to the other one myself as an advisor in this war. So I'll be with you in this war as an advisor. And so he gave the choice, and somehow he asked Arjuna first, which was the youngest guy, and Arjuna asked for him. So Duryodhana gets very happy because he gets all the weapons, all the army of Krishna, and Arjuna gets him as his company. But this also reminds us that when we approach spiritual guides or God, we only pray for goods, and God can help us with goods, with a better life, with this and that. He can give you that, but are we asking for him? Are we asking him as an advisor? I ask him as a friend, as a company, as a relationship. And if we ask for that, he would give that. But we, as humans, we tend to act a little bit as Duryodhana, only asking for or being interested on what we gain in this life. And so this is a very beautiful symbolic way of how to approach God. And so in this war, he enters as a friend of Arjuna, and this is known as the biggest war in the Mahabharata, and the place of the war is called the Kurukshetra. So this is the battlefield of Kurukshetra, is the place where the war happens. But this place also has many meanings, and one of the meanings is the Dharma Kshetra, is the place of righteousness. And also Guruji says is the Kriya Kshetra, is the place of action. And we know Kriya Yogi, we are Kriya Yogis here, is dealing with that, the process of purification in our life. So Punya Kshetra is another name of it that Guruji says is the merits. It's everything you do in life. It's actually you're collecting for yourself. So how to live and how to purify yourself, those are the arts, those are the secrets. So this purification is actually in our body, in ourselves. So this war, it represents our inner battle, the battle that we start when we start walking into the spiritual life. Is the purification that we go through the spiritual process. We have to purify, we have to see our negative qualities. So let's go to the main characters of the Mahabharata for you to have. They are very few, actually. It's basically Krishna, which is driving the charity of Arjuna. So he's a charioteer there. And he's an avatar or a divine incarnation of Narayana, the Lord himself, the creator. And Arjuna is the greatest archer in the world. He represents our heart in search for the truth, in search for righteousness. And Dhritarashtra, that is the blind king, is this war happens a lot because of him. It represents our mind which questions and it's blind and wants to stay blind. So this mind, Guruji always says, you have to bring to your heart. The full spiritual journey is 40 centimeters from mind to heart. So Dhritarashtra doesn't want to surrender his mind, and he's the head king. And Sanjaya is a charioteer. He's narrating the story to Dhritarashtra, which is a blind king, and is given to Sanjaya a vision of every detail that is going on in this war. So he's a narrator inside the Gita. And Duryodhana is a leader of the Kaurava army. He's a son of Dhritarashtra, he's a son of the mind. He represents the pride. Is that prideful person that is a subproduct of a strong mind. He is pride, and he cannot see the truth, the heart, or the spiritual side of it. So that is an important thing here. Krishna comes in different forms during the Gita. He starts as his best friend of Arjuna, because Arjuna approached him as his best friend and asked his help in this. He wants him as his company. He doesn't care for his army. But he turns in the Bhagavad Gita, as they speak in the beginning of the war, from the best friend into a guru. And that important transition is very important for us to understand that as a friend, you probably know this in the same level of them. And at the beginning, Arjuna starts arguing a lot and speaking a lot, until the point that he says, I don't know the truth anymore. And then he talks to Krishna in these words. He said, with my heart overcome by weakness and my mind confused about my duty, I urge you to tell me clearly what is good for me. I'm your disciple and I take refuge in you. Please teach me. So until the moment you don't come with that humility to the guru, he cannot instruct you, because you are supposed to know. And if you still say that, oh, you just want the guru to confirm what you know, you are not listening, or you're not in the process of learning. So you have to come to this point that, okay, I don't know anything, and I'm taking the refuge on you, so please instruct me. He does this in the second chapter. So Krishna becomes his guru at that moment. He kind of submitted his intelligence to receive his instruction. And so Krishna finally starts instructing him. So Krishna as a guru is for us also a big lesson, that we should approach, this verse is very beautiful. So one should approach a spiritual master with submission, extensive inquiry, and service. Such realized souls can instruct you, for they have seen the truth. So a Satguru is the one that knows the final reality, and how is the map to lead us out from this world of suffering and this life of that we are imprisoned by karma. So only the master can know. So, but you have to have kind of humility, submission, that humility, extensive inquiry, that you should have your curiosity there. Otherwise, the master cannot give you anything. And service. Service is very important, the service to the guru. So that is a point that Krishna starts seeing more than a guru. He shows himself as an avatar of the divine. And that we are very lucky to have such a guru in life, that he also an avatar of the divine. So it's amazing how, when we are ready, he can show us that aspect of an avatar. So the avatar, the divine incarnation, is beyond that. So in the scriptures, it's saying that Arjuna, whenever there is a decline of dharma, righteousness, and an increase of adharma, unrighteousness, is then that I manifest myself for the protection of the good and for the destruction of the wicked, and to establish dharma. I incarnated myself from age to age. So Krishna himself tells that I come to this world in flesh. He came as Lord Rama, as Krishna, as many other avatars of the Lord appeared from time to time. And so he comes to instruct and reestablish the order of the situation. So the first chapter is when their charities are entering, because Arjuna asked Krishna to drive his charity in between the two armies. So the position is already very beautiful, because Arjuna trusts Krishna, his charity. His charity is his own senses, his own body, his own mind. He trusts him to drive him into in the middle of this war. And he drives in between the two armies, which the armies are representing the what you're going to face in the process of spirituality. So it's a crucial moment of the life of Arjuna, which he confronts his relatives, his teachers, and grandsires. But they also represents all the negative qualities that we carry along lives and lives. We carry a lot of bad habits. We carry a lot of bad thoughts, a lot of negative qualities that we have to improve in order to drive into the spiritual life. So these two arms represents that two positive and negative qualities. And obviously, the big amount of army is in the negative side. We have more negative qualities than positive. But to be able to transform ourselves, we have to see our negativity. And so that's what the Guru starts bringing to our eyes. Everything, our weakness, our negative sides, our jealousy, our bad behaviors, so then we can see and transform ourselves. So at the first chapter, Arjuna is in a deception, is in a depression, and he says that his army is overwhelmed with grief and he doesn't want to fight. And that is representing all of us in front of all what you have to do to cross in order to transform ourselves in the spiritual process. And when you really see what we have to face, we feel a little bit depressed, not motivated, not worthy to, and very confused. Actually, we don't know from where to start. So the chapter 1 starts addressing that aspect. So this from the chapter 2, as Krishna starts instructing him, he says something beautiful that I like. I love that expressions. I say, having controlled all the senses, one should abide in the state of meditation. Having me as the supreme goal, one who has controlled his senses, wisdom is firmly established. So that control of the senses is very important. But then he points that the biggest enemy of the lack of control of ourselves is desire. And this is very important when he starts mapping what we have to achieve in order to have that state of tranquility. So he says that one who deliberates upon the sense objects, if you're constantly moved by the senses, your desires, your senses are pulling you towards, it starts having attachments over the objects that you are around. And from that attachments comes desire, having them again. And from desire comes anger. And then from anger arrives delusion. And from delusion, there is a loss of memory. And from loss of memory, there is the destruction of discrimination. And with the destruction of discrimination, one is lost. So I always have these words to self-analyze myself when I go into anger. Because even when I start being frustrated or not motivated, if you look back, what is the desire behind this frustration? Because anger is a type of frustration in a bigger scale, but it starts with the frustration. So if you look, there is a desire behind. Is the desire that that person shouldn't have spoken to me in that way, or that thing should happen in the way you wanted and it didn't happen. So there is always a desire of controlling things in the way that you wanted. So if you drop that desire, you start being free from that anger that is a consequence, or that frustration that is a consequence of that desire. So for me, this self-analysis is always a very important tool, because whenever I see things are not working as I want, I look and I said, does it need to happen in the way I want it? So then I really feel free from that, because yeah, there was a desire there behind. So that introspection, or the way that we go through Gita, should be that analyzing how we act. And if you're suffering, it means there is a desire there, because the suffering is caused by a desire. So, for example, when you lose someone, is the desire of that person to be here, not have gone. So accepting is very important. So now we go in the, I told you in the second group of 6 chapters, Krishna talks about himself. So I'm moving here just to with some words that he describes himself. Of course, he described himself in an amazing poetical way in many forms. But here there's a more like a explanation of his nature. So he says the earth, the water, the fire, the air, and the ether, the mind, the intellect, and the ego make up the 8 parts of my material nature. So he's also the material nature of everyone, which is very transitory, which is not permanent, but is also divine. Uh, so he says, this is my lower nature. But Arjuna, know that my higher nature is different, is made up by embodied souls, which sustain this universe. You see, what gives life to this body is our soul. What gives life to a flower is that soul inside the flower. So everything has that soul, that divinity inside each person, and that is a higher manifestation of himself, of the Lord. So know that in all beings originated from these 2 natures of mine. Understand, therefore, that I'm origin and the dissolution of this whole universe. So he's the one behind all what is happening. So why we are worried? Why we keep thinking that we can control the situations, and why we keep trying to control it and suffering by not being able to. So this is nothing, there is nothing higher than me, or Arjuna, and all this rests upon me like pearls on a thread. So the divine has his own plans, and surrendering to the divine plans is difficult for a human mind. But if you connect it with the nature of God, and we start being in tuned that He's everything, so that it's becoming easier. The wisdom is leading us into living that experience, that He is the controller. He gives even the intelligence for us. He gives us the capacity to perceive and the consciousness. So let's be more focused onto Him. So that's the way to achieve Him. So this comes to the last 6 chapters about this path of liberation, where Krishna mentioned that mentally dedicating all actions to me, thinking of me as the supreme goal, and engaged in yoga, focus your mind on me. So this full focused mind on the Lord is very important to drive over the difficulties over this life if you want to reach the liberation path. Oh, sorry. I don't know what happened. We went back somehow. Let's go further a little bit. I don't know why we missed that. So here we are. In the path of liberation. So focusing your mind on me, and by my grace you shall overcome all obstacles. If, however, out of pride you do not listen to me, you'll be ruined. So this is also very important advice that he says, that if you still, after learning all that I'm the controller, just do what you have to do as your best and offer everything to me. If you still want to have gains over this war, if you're still doing this for selfish interest, then you're going to be ruined. So he says, do what you have to do and offer this all to me, and I will take care. So it's all these teachings is developed on this short book of 18 chapters. And at the very end, he asked, I mean, after all this dialogue, Krishna asked, "Oh, Arjuna, have you paid attention to these teachings with concentrated mind? Has your delusion based on ignorance been dispelled?" He asked, "Could you understand it all?" And Arjuna finally, because Arjuna had so many questions, like us would have many questions throughout explanations of Krishna. So at the end, Arjuna says, "My delusion has been destroyed. By your grace, O Krishna, I regained my understanding. I'm free from doubts, and I stand strong, and I will act according to your word." So that is the conclusion, that he said, "Okay, I'm fine." So this dialogue is really amazing, and is very simple. Is spoken in very simple, directly words. There is no way to get confused over there. Krishna repeats himself in many ways, giving different examples over the same subject many times, like best teacher. And Arjuna keeps asking, as the best students representing us would do, asking again and again until we understand the full message. So our Guru says, the one who gives this highest mystery to my devotees, or to the ones, the beloved of gods, they display the highest devotions to me and shall come to me. There is no doubt about this. Actually, these are words of Lord Krishna himself. And Guruji says it is a highest gift to share the Gita to others. So I would like to know here, after we finish this, if someone never, we say Jai Gurudeva, victory to the Guru, if someone never read the Gita and would like to read the Gita, I can gift someone who doesn't have any Gita and who would like to have the Bhagavad Gita Essentials as a gift for Christmas. Just contact me, but should be someone that is in this group that doesn't, if you don't have the Gita and if you'd like to have, I can give the Gita for you. But also, if you'd like to give someone, or if you'd like to pay for another verse number, we sell here in Turkey a hardcover with 10% discount. You can also have ebook. It's pretty cheap. It's like something like €3 or €2. I don't know. We have in Kobo, Google Play. It's an amazing book. It's amazing scripture, and it's a scripture for life. Gandhi, which I have a big admiration over, he set commentaries over the Gita as well during his time in the jail. And he always said that whenever I'm in demoralized or feeling pain and sorrow, I always go to find my answers in the Gita. So that's one of the persons that was always finding every answer he needs in life in the Gita, because it's a very simple book, and it's a very nice scripture. So Joy would like, that's nice. Okay. I can pass it to you, Joy. We'll find a way to reach you. And well, that's the Gita Jayanti of today. So we went through all this journey here. So if you have any questions, you can open up your microphone and talk. I'm here to listen whatever you want to speak. Yes, if you'd like to, if anyone would like to talk. So this today is celebrating actually 5,165 approximately years that the Gita is being spoken. Some sources are saying. So it's an amazing book. So just connect me if you'd like, and I can share with you. Great. Okay. So if you have questions, let me know.
Jai Gurudev.
Jai Gurudev.
I don't have a question.
Okay.
I just wanted to say it has been a wonderful presentation. And I also love the visuals. It was so beautiful.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Well, I try to make it simple, short, and just clear for understanding a little bit. But I think basically for us is to understand such a book is a precious gift to the world. It's although it's spoken 5,000 years ago, it has so many. The words are so simple and touch. I read the Gita first when I was 24 years old, and I was so much touched. I read in Brazil, and I really cried. I said, this is everything that I was looking for. This answers all my questions. And I remember it touched my soul in such a way because I haven't heard about Krishna, and that came to me in that book. And I found it so simple and clear. So I really feel everyone can benefit with that. My guru says the same. It is very important book. We should dive into it and incorporate its words. So happy Gita Jayanti. Thank you for watching.
I had a question.
Yes.
Is there a specific way that is recommended to read the book? Like, is it the best to read from beginning to end, just linearly, or is it more, I have a question, I'm struggling with something right now. How do I ask? Like, how do I...
It can be both ways. I would say many times I have opened my Gita. It's a very small book, actually, when you go without commentaries, because my guru, for example, have commented on the Gita, and he had wrote a very big commentary Gita that is heavy and big. But the essentials that I have and that I recommend everybody to read goes directly to the dialogue with very, very few commentaries. So for that, I would say you can either way open the book whenever you feel, but you can read it in 1.5 day, I would say. If it's, yeah, it's so easy to read. It's so simple. For me, it takes us into this reading because it's so simple. I mean, 1.5 day, if you really read it, take your attention, but it can take a few days to read it full. So it's not a heavy book. The heavy book is the Mahabharata. That is a big one. But the Gita is very easy to read. So you can, but you can also, like you said, whenever you're looking for answers, it always answers me. You always open the right page and there's always a profound message. But as I said, there are the beginning part where he's really describing, let me go back here, this subdivisions of the Gita. Uh, it's good to know that this first 6 verses is talking about karma yoga, and so about self-realization and about what we should work on ourselves and how we should improve ourselves, how we should control our actions, how we get rid of the consequences of our actions, which is karma, and which keeps us attached to this reality. We have to born again and again because we keep repeating same patterns, how to break that patterns. So he teaches us how to transform our actions into yoga, into a unity with a higher consciousness. So this is a path of self-realization, understanding that we are an eternal soul. And so do your best, but don't be attached to your actions only. Because we suffer a lot. We keep expecting reactions or things to go according to our control. And the Bhakti Yoga, the path of divine realization, if you want to read more about the essence of the divine, you read this. Poetically is the most beautiful part of the book, I would say, because he has a higher description of himself in many ways. And also he gives a vision of himself to Arjuna in a divine way, let's say. And the last 6 chapters are quite philosophical in a way. He described everything that can make you trapped into this reality, the structure of our thinking, the way we sleep and eat, and everything can influence our perception of the reality. So he tells us to be careful of the nature forces of the world, that's called gunas, which controls all actions and thoughts, and how to be aware of them. And then he describes finally how to reach this divine realization through the way the world we are living in this life, in our job. So it's a very practical book, I would say. So how you're gonna read it, yeah, I think it's up to you. Both ways are very profound.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And somebody else would like to does somebody only Joy wants the Gita, or somebody here never had the Gita and would like? I can give one number because we are not a big number, so I can make that favor to you guys. Just let me know, okay? Okay, so I hope it was useful, and I hope you can enjoy. There is also in audio in YouTube. You can find Bhagavad Gita Essentials on audio in YouTube. So you can just put it and listen to it. And it's being spoken in the Sanskrit and the translation. Eventually, reading directly the translation will be the easiest way for you to read it fast and full. But if you'd like to listen, they have it also in YouTube. I can share to you. Okay. Okay. Let's complete from here then. Om Shanti 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 Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha Hari Om. So wishing you a blissful night. This is a very special day, and really wish you enjoy the words in the Gita and understand actually where we stand as a person in this world, as a human being. What is our soul? What is the duty in life? And what we are here for? So those are the questions of Arjuna, and it's all answered in this beautiful book in a very inspiring way. Okay? Jai Gurudev.
Thank
Thank you,
you, Jai
Shyamala. Jai
Gurudev.
Gurudev. It was
Thank you,
very lovely.
Shyamala. Jai
Thank
You're
Gurudev.
welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay, then I'm closing. Oh, sorry. Okay. See you guys.